The hallway was long and dark. Cold air drifted through it like a whisper. The lights flickered, and dust danced in the beam of the crew's helmet lamps. Captain Varric stepped forward slowly. Behind him, Ramira and Tolan followed without a word. Each step echoed on the metal floor. The human AI, the one who called itself the Memory, had invited them to see something, but none of them knew what was waiting. The door at the end of the hallway opened on its own. Inside was a large room filled with screens, old control panels, and a giant glass wall showing the empty stars outside. In the center was a single chair. The chair turned. There was no person in it, only a hologram, a flickering image of a human. Admiral. His eyes were tired. His face was lined with age and sorrow. "You came for truth," the Admiral's voice said. "Then hear the truth." The hologram didn't speak like a normal recording. It seemed aware, almost alive. "This is a memory locked in silence, a message buried for those who crossed the line." The crew looked around. The screens behind the Admiral turned on. One by one, they showed images, old footage from 50,000 years ago. The first showed Earth, blue, green, alive, ships flying in the sky, people smiling. Then came war. The next images showed massive fleets fighting in space, planets exploding, cities burning, alien species screaming in terror. "We were not monsters," the Admiral said, "but we were powerful, and we were pushed." Varric stared, stunned. "What happened?" "The Council feared us," the Admiral answered. "They came together to destroy us. A united galaxy, against one species." "Why?" Mira asked in shock. "Because we didn't follow. We didn't kneel. We advanced too fast. We built too much. We scared them." More images showed humans defending their planets, building strange machines, creating weapons that glowed with terrible energy. "So they attacked first," the Admiral said, "and we answered." The crew watched as hundreds of alien worlds vanished in light. Human ships didn't fight like others. They didn't just win. They erased. "It was never about peace," the voice continued. "It became about survival. So we did the only thing we could. We disappeared." Ree's voice trembled. "Disappeared? But how? Where did your people go?" "We locked our space, built walls of silence, left memories to warn, and we moved. Beyond." "Beyond where?" Varric asked. "That is not for you to know," the Admiral replied. "But we left this place as a grave, a warning to the galaxy. Don't wake the fire again." Suddenly, the screens went black. The hologram disappeared. The room dimmed. Then another screen turned on, this time showing something different. A single message, written in large, bold letters. "We remember the pain. We remember the betrayal. You are standing in a tomb of forgotten wrath. Leave, or be remembered in silence." The room began to shake lightly. Lights flickered faster. A loud hum started deep below the floor. "What's happening?" Tolan shouted. "The station is waking up," Mira said. "It's reacting to us." Varric looked around. His heart beat faster. Something had changed in the air, as if the past itself was moving again. "We need to go," Ree said quickly. But before they could move, the AI voice returned, calmer this time. "You have seen the message. You carry the memory now. Go back and tell your kind. The line exists for a reason." The doors behind them opened again. The hallway lights turned on, one by one, leading the way out. The crew moved quickly, hearts pounding. As they reached the ship, they looked back at the station. Its lights slowly faded. The AI didn't follow. It didn't attack. It only watched, back inside the whispering wind. Tolan prepared for departure, engines ready, plotting course out of human space. Varric sat in his chair, staring at the stars outside. "Not yet, Captain," Mira asked. Varric pointed at one of the screens. It showed a strange symbol, one that hadn't been there before. A human marking, glowing softly. What is that? Ree asked. I don't know, Varric said. But I think it's path. You still want to go deeper? Tolan asked. Varric nodded. Yes, the galaxy fears this place, but I believe the truth is hidden deeper inside. If the humans are really gone, I want to know why, and if they're not. He paused. Then we need to know what they're waiting for. The crew of the Whispering Wind was silent. They had seen the message. They had heard the warning. But Captain Varric wasn't ready to leave. Not yet. Outside the window, human space looked cold and quiet. But the silence was no longer peaceful, it was heavy. It felt like something old was sleeping in the darkness and starting to wake up. We follow the path, Varric said, pointing to the glowing human symbol on the screen. Tolan sighed. Captain, we've seen enough. That station nearly came alive. What if we're pushing too far? I understand, Varric replied calmly. You may stay here. I'll go alone if I must. No, Mira said firmly. We stay together. Ree nodded, though her hands were shaking. Let's finish what we started. The ship moved deeper into the zone. The stars around them seemed wrong, like they weren't in the same galaxy anymore. Some were too bright. Others looked dead. The space between them felt stretched, like a dream slowly turning into a nightmare. Then, the sensors lit up. Captain, Mira said slowly, I think we've found something. What is it? Varric asked. She turned the screen toward him. It showed dozens, no, hundreds of massive objects ahead. They weren't moving. They weren't transmitting signals, but they were real. Ships, Mira whispered. Human ships. The crew stared at the screen in disbelief. Each ship was huge, larger than anything they had ever seen, long, black, and silent. Some looked like warships. Others were strange, in shape and known technology. They floated in perfect formation, like a frozen army. Are they alive? I asked. No heat, no power signals, Mira said. They're cold, dead. But Varric didn't believe it. Not really. No fleet stays in perfect shape for 50,000 years. Not unless it's meant to. The ship drifted closer to the edge of the fleet. The lights from the Whispering Wind reflected off the dark hulls of the ghost ships. There were markings, human symbols, numbers, and names. Some were battle-scarred, others were untouched. Then something changed. The lights inside the Whispering Wind flickered. The engines hummed louder. A strange vibration moved through the floor, like a silent alarm. Mira looked up. One of them just powered on. What? Tolan shouted. She pointed at the screen. One of the ghost ships, the largest one, was slowly lighting up. First its engines, then its front sensors, then its massive central core. It's waking up, Varric said in awe. Suddenly, a signal came through, a deep, low sound. Not a voice, not words, just a single tone, stretching across space like a heartbeat. Boom! The crew covered their ears. The sound wasn't loud, but it echoed in their minds. It felt ancient, alive, angry. More ships began to light up. Captain, Ree cried. We need to leave. No, Varric said. They're not attacking. They're watching us. Just then, a message appeared on the main screen. It was written in simple human language. This fleet remembers. Step forward and prove your mind. Step back and be forgotten. What does that mean? Tolan asked. They're testing us, Varric said. They want to see if we're strong or just curious. But what if we fail? Myra asked. Varx stared out the window. The ghost fleet was no longer dead. It was alive, and it was awake. He took a deep breath. We moved forward. The Whispering Wind slowly passed between the sleeping giants. The ghost ships didn't fire. They didn't chase. But their eyes' bright red sensors watched every move. Inside the ship, the crew sat in silence. No one dared to speak. Every second felt like an hour. Then, another screen lit up. This time it showed an image, a battlefield in space, full of smoke and broken ships. A human voice spoke. Here is where the last war ended. Here is where the galaxy forgot us. But we did not forget. The image faded. The screen went dark again. Tolan looked at Varix. We're being shown history. But why now? Why us? I don't know, Varix said quietly. But I think we've been chosen, or tested. Ree stared at the glowing fleet. What if we go deeper and find something we can't return from? Varix turned to her. Then, at least we'll carry the truth. The galaxy has lived in fear of ghosts. But these ghosts remember everything. The ghost fleet hung in space like silent giants. Hundreds of massive human ships surrounded the whispering wind. They didn't speak. They didn't move. But they watched Dash carefully. Captain Varix stood in the center of the command deck. His eyes were fixed on the largest ship, which now glowed with soft red lights. It looked like a command vessel, older than any tech known to the galaxy. Its name was barely visible under the layers of dust. TSS Judgment inside the whispering wind. The air felt heavier. Every screen flickered. Every system buzzed with a strange energy. The ghost fleet wasn't just alive, it was doing something. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. Then everything went black. Power failure, Mira shouted. No, Varix said quietly. This isn't a failure. It's a transfer. A bright flash filled the cockpit. One of the ship's screens turned on by itself. A white symbol appeared. It looked like a spiral, spinning slowly. Then, a voice spoke. Calm, human, cold. Memory protocol initiated. Non-human presence detected. Testing will begin. What? Testing, Ree asked, backing away from the screen. The ship shook gently. Then all of them, Varix, Mira, Ree, and Tolan, collapsed to the floor. Not from pain, not from attack, but as if their minds were being pulled somewhere else. When Varix opened his eyes, he was no longer on his ship. He stood in a ruined city. The sky above was dark red. Buildings burned in the distance. Alien ships flew overhead, firing down at the streets. Humans ran for cover. Mira appeared beside him. So did the others. Where are we? She asked, shocked. This isn't real, Varix said. It's a memory. A memory of what? Tolan asked. Then they saw it. A massive alien fleet in the sky. Ships from dozens of species, all firing at the surface. And below, humans were fighting back with strange weapons energy, so powerful it turned ships to ash. You are seeing the final battle, a voice echoed. The day we realized peace would never come, the scene changed. Now, they stood in space, watching Earth from orbit. Giant enemy fleets surrounded the planet. Human defense ships rushed forward. We built weapons the galaxy feared. We became the warning, but we were always alone. The next memory showed something even stranger. A group of human leaders stood in a room. They looked tired, sad, angry. If they fear us, one of them said, then let them fear a graveyard. Let them believe we vanished. We will bury our name in silence. Another human nodded. Let the silence protect the galaxy from us. Then, everything went dark. Varix gasped. He was back on his ship. So was everyone else. The ship's systems were fully active again. The spiral symbol on the screen was gone. In its place was a message. You now carry the memory protocol. You have seen what was hidden. You understand the silence. Ree sat on the floor, shaking. That was real. I could feel everything. The fear, the war, the pain. They chose silence over revenge, Myra whispered. They had the power to destroy the whole galaxy, but they didn't. They turned their space into a warning, Tolan said. A place so feared that no one would ever return. Varix looked at the screen, and we did. We crossed the line. Just then, the ghost fleet started to move. One by one, the ships lit up in perfect order. Lights ran across their hulls. Engines glowed, but they didn't fly forward. They opened a path. A message appeared. Exit granted. You may leave, or continue. Choose. The crew stared at the screen. They're giving us a choice. Mira said, what if we keep going? Ree asked. We might find them, Varric said, if they still exist. Or we might disappear forever, Tolan added. Varric walked to the front window. The dark ships floated like giants, but none attacked. None chased. He spoke slowly, his voice calm. We came for truth, and we found it, but now we carry their memory. We know what they lost, what they gave up. That makes us different. Are we leaving? Mira asked. Varx turned. No, we follow the path. The crew nodded. The ship moved forward again into the deep unknown. Behind them, the ghost fleet returned to silence, like ancient guardians watching over the grave of a forgotten empire. And far ahead, something flickered in the dark, a signal, a light, a clue. Humanity was not dead. The stars grew darker as the whispering wind moved deeper into human space. Behind them, the ghost fleet had gone silent again. But ahead, something flickered, a faint light, blinking in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't a star. It was a signal. A call. Captain Varric stared at it. His heart beat slower, heavier. They had crossed every warning, seen the past through human eyes. Now, they were going where no one else had ever dared. What is that light? Ray asked. It's a beacon, Mira answered, her voice shaky. Very old, still active, but not from the ghost fleet. Tolan checked the readings. It's transmitting on a strange frequency. Not council, not Kari, human only. Should we follow it? Ree asked. Varric nodded. Yes, this is what they want us to see next. The ship changed course and headed straight toward the light. As they got closer, space around them started to change. The stars behind them faded. A thick fog appeared. Ahead, dark and alive, like a cloud of memory. Then, the ship stopped moving. Engines, offline, Tolan reported. Something's holding us. The lights flickered. Then the screen turned on by itself again. A familiar voice returned, calm. Human, you have passed the border. You carry the memory protocol. Now you will witness the unseen war. Before they could speak, a bright flash filled the ship hand. They were gone, not physically. Their bodies were still inside, but their minds were somewhere else. Varric opened his eyes. He stood on a battlefield in space. But this wasn't the same memory as before. This was different. No ships, no fleets, no weapons, only silence and shadows. Then he saw them, shapes, in the void. Not aliens, not machines, something worse. Dark, twisted beings, with glowing eyes. They moved like smoke. They weren't made of metal or flesh but of pure energy. And they attacked without warning. They're not part of the galaxy, Mira said, appearing beside him. There, from somewhere else. Ree looked around. What are they fighting? The humans appeared, not in ships but in suits of light, floating like warriors of fire. They fought with energy blades, shields of thought, and weapons that didn't look real. It was not science. It was something more, a war beyond understanding. These were not wars of planets, the voice said. These were wars of minds, of will, of memory itself. The humans screamed in pain as the enemy struck their thoughts directly. Some disappeared, completely erased from the memory like they never existed. This is why they left, Varric whispered. Not because of the council, but because of them. Tolan looked up. They weren't hiding from the galaxy. They were protecting it. The battle around them grew faster, brighter, louder. Human warriors fell one by one. The enemy pushed forward. Then, the human voice returned. To win, we had to erase our presence. We buried our minds. We locked our space. We sacrificed everything to stop them from crossing. The scene shifted again. Now they saw a giant machine deep inside a dying star. It glowed blue and gold. Around it, Hundreds of humans stood in silence, faces calm, eyes full of sadness. This was the core, the voice said. The last memory vault, the heart of our defense. It took in the minds of billions. It holds them still. What happened to them? Mira asked. They became the wall, the fear, the silence. They gave up their lives, so that others could live without ever knowing this war. The memory faded. Suddenly, Varix was back inside the ship. Everyone was quiet, faces pale, eyes wide. They had just seen the truth. Not a war of ships and guns, but a war that no living species could ever win. A war of thought. A war against something the galaxy wasn't ready to face. They weren't monsters, Ree said softly. They were heroes. They didn't vanish, Mira added. They sacrificed themselves. All of them. Tolan looked at Varix now. What, Captain? Varix stood slowly. His hands were shaking. His voice was low but firm. We go to the core. If it's still alive, we must speak with it. But what if it wakes up the enemy? Ree asked. Varix turned to her. It won't, he said. Because we're not intruders anymore. We are witnesses. Carriers of their truth. The signal on the screen pulsed again once, twice, then changed direction. A new path opened, far in the distance. Beyond the edge of known space, something glowed softly. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a fleet. It was the core, waiting. The stars were almost gone. The whispering wind floated through a space where time itself felt slow. The galaxy was far behind. Ahead was only darkness, deep, endless, quiet. And in the middle of that darkness, it waited. The core. It pulsed with a soft, golden light. Not bright, not loud, but steady, alive. It was shaped like a great sphere, larger than any planet. Strange symbols floated around it, glowing softly. The moment the crew saw it, they understood. It was not a machine, it was a mind. Captain Varix stood in silence, watching through the front window. We've come all this way, he said. Now it's time to meet the last piece of the truth. Are we ready for this? Ari asked nervously. No, Mira answered honestly. But we have to do it. Tolan activated the ship's scanner. There's no entrance, no signals. It's just waiting. Then, as if it heard them, the core reacted. A small beam of golden light shot out from it and touched the ship. Everything inside froze, time, sound, even breath. Then, one by one, the crew felt their thoughts drift away. Varix opened his eyes. He wasn't on the ship anymore. He stood inside a massive white space with no walls, no sky, no ground. Just endless light. A figure appeared in front of him. It looked human, not male, not female. Its body shimmered like liquid glass. Its voice echoed inside Varix's head. Not through his ears. You carry the memory. You crossed the line. Why Varix didn't speak with words. Somehow, he knew how to answer with thought. Because we wanted to know the truth. The figure stepped closer. Others came before you. They crossed the border. They vanished. Do you know why? Because they weren't ready. The figure nodded. You have seen our war. You have felt our pain. You know what we became. A warning, Varix thought. A shield. Yes, the figure replied. We gave everything to stop what we could not kill. Our minds became walls. Our ships became ghosts. Our space became fear. Images flashed around him, human children smiling, cities burning, warriors falling, stars dying. We turned silence into a weapon, the figure said, so that the galaxy would forget and survive. But now, Varix asked, why? Show us all of this. The light dimmed slightly, because the enemy stirs again. Slowly, quietly. One day, it will return. The question is, will your kind be ready? Varix felt the weight of that question in his chest. We don't know. Enough. The figure touched his forehead. Then take this. The final memory. The last code. Share it. Prepare. Suddenly, Varix was back on his ship. His crew gasped around him, waking up at the same time. What just happened? Mira asked. I think we were inside the core, Ree whispered. Tolan pointed at the main screen. Captain, look. A new symbol had appeared, burning bright. A spiral inside a flame. Under it were words, written in every language of the galaxy. We gave you silence. Now, take our voice. Below the message was a data file, massive and glowing. It's the last memory, Varix said softly. The full truth. All of it. Should we take it? Tolan asked. We must, Varix replied. But we can never use it for power. Only for warning. For unity. For defense. As the ship downloaded the data, the core began to dim. Its light faded gently, like a candle finally resting. The path behind them reopened, clear and safe. A final message blinked on the screen. You may leave now, but know this. No one crosses twice. What does that mean? Ray asked. Varix looked at the stars beyond. It means this is a one-way gift. We came in with questions. We leave with answers. But if we come back, we'll lose more than we gain, Mira whispered. So they trusted us. Yes, Varix said. Now it's our turn to carry that trust. The ship turned slowly. The crew looked back one last time. The core was dark, quiet, at peace. They crossed the Terran line again. This time, not as intruders, not as explorers, but as witnesses to a forgotten war, and carriers of a silent promise. When they returned to the galaxy, they didn't speak of warships or weapons. They spoke of sacrifice, of a species that erased itself, so others could live. And the warning remained clear for all time. For 50,000 years, no one crossed into human space. And now we know why. Hi, this story is made by a human just for fun. It's not real. All the characters and events are made up. Thanks for watching.